All right, now we are wrapping up our Wife Strengthening Relational Wealth and Awareness series. In today's video, we have to understand this conflict resolution. As a wife, you've had your own upbringing, you've had your own ways, you've had your own, stubbornness, you've had your own mindset, you've had your own perspective, and then you fall in love, you get married, you're so excited, right? You can't wait, and then boom! You like, whoa, what did I do? Who did I marry? Right? And what that boom is, now I'm not saying there's still not butterflies and bliss, okay? But there is also some reality, all right? Like, whoa, hold up, all right? Wait, right? You get to see more and more of how your own ways and your own upbringing, your own, perspectives and all of those things. And now you got somebody else who got their own upbringing, their own past, their own, their own thing. And so that can create a lot of conflict, marital conflict. You can't agree. That ain't how each other were raised, marital conflict. You don't speak like that. You didn't express your emotions in your household. They did, marital conflict. You weren't raised in that way to consider other people. They were, marital conflict. Okay, you weren't raised to pick up after yourself. Mama did it all for you. So, and then when you got in your own, you really didn't do it. But now you married and you like, whoa, marital conflict. The list can go on and on and on, okay? The list can go on and on and on. But I hope that you get what I'm saying, okay? The conflict can come and because of the two separate individuals and all the things that come with that individual. But I want to let you know that there is resolution, okay? You said yes to this person because for a certain reason. I don't know your reason, so I can't identify that. But for a certain reason, you said yes to this person. I pray that it wasn't out of convenience. I hope that it wasn't out of pressure, okay? But that you genuinely wanted to marry and spend the rest of your life with this person. And in that, you made vows to God. And what marriage does, remember, we are first and foremost the bride of Christ, the bride and the bridegroom of Christ. And what marriage does is the same thing that Christ does with us. It shows us ourselves. God and the Word of God shows us ourselves, and then not just to leave us there, but to train us into how to become better, to train us into how not to just dwell and live there, but how to gain the tools and the strategies and the new thought processes and the new way of communicating. Like he comes to equip us so that we can have longevity and prosperity in life. And so I want you to hold on to that, because that is going to be the mirror of your marriage. Your spouse is going to show you, pull out in you some things about you that you really need to work on, okay? That you really need to heal from, that you really need to get better in. And the vice versa. It's not one-sided. It works both ways. The mirror works both ways in the human relationship, okay? We don't have to show and tell and help God work on nothing, okay? He helps us work on everything, okay? And so in that, we have to be secure in knowing that the differences doesn't make us non-lovable. Because sometimes I believe that as a woman, you start realizing, oh my gosh, man, my husband's like this, I'm like this, I'm like this. And you start feeling like, oh, I have so much to work on, I'm unlovable. Will he still love me? Will he still appreciate me? Will he still want to be married to me? Okay, and so this video wants to address that, as well as my book Wife Strengthening addresses that. Okay, and so be sure to invest in yourself, make that wealth deposit within your own relational awareness so that it transcends into your marital wealth bank account. Okay. The link is in the description box below. It's titled Wife Strengthening. It's the book I've been talking about and referencing in all these 7 videos within this playlist. Okay. But be sure to do that, because you want to understand that 2 people are becoming one. In the book of Genesis, the man shall leave and cleave to his wife, and the 2 shall become one. Okay, so we are leaving a lot of things and we are cleaving to one another so that we can become one. We are leaving a lot of examples. We are leaving a lot of upbringings. We are leaving a lot of thought processes. We are having to leave that and cleave to husband and wife and the Lord, triangle of 3, cord of 3. Okay, not cord of 3 plus mama them, not cord of 3 plus siblings, not cord of 3, no, cord of 3, so that you all together can establish what your 2 becoming one is going to look like for your home traditions, for your children raising, for for your own household. How you respond and talk and love on each other. You can't bring in what you are familiar with. You have to allow the Lord to come in and establish new. It takes work. It takes humility. It takes everything that I've already talked about in the previous 6 videos. It's going to take all of them, and Jesus, and your surrender, and you being teachable and trainable, in learning how to truly cleave and depict a marriage that's God-honoring and Jesus-rooted. Wealthy, generating wealth, okay? The book of Genesis says the Lord gives us the ability to generate wealth, all right? Wealth, yes, you think financial wealth, but I'm getting you into the mindset of relational wealth. You and Jesus, you and yourself, you and others, including your spouse, okay? So, in this 2 becoming one, there are some things, 6 things I'm going to run through. Okay, I'm going to run through them. 6 things that we have to be mindful of. Number 1, clarity for how to respond to one another. You are leaving how you have once responded. Okay, and you are cleaving to the type of responses that are now suitable for your new position or for your now position as wife. Secure, confident wife. Okay, learning how to do it, wife, right? But you want to gain the clarity for how to respond. Number 2, the wisdom for what to let roll off. Because you don't need to respond to everything. We know, we've learned, you have learned how to pick your battles. What to give your attention to, what to give your energy to, and what to let roll off. Okay, you cannot put yourself in a fight in everything. The spiritual fight is already happening, but you have the power and the boldness and the courage to choose wisdom for what to roll off. Okay, something happened in your household, something happened at your home, something happened in your marriage, something your husband said. What you gonna do about it? Okay, have the wisdom for what you need to roll off. You can't be sensitive to everything. All right. You need to develop this muscle. All right. You want to develop this muscle so that you're not nagging and picking a fight over every single thing. You want to begin to have wisdom on when to speak and how to speak. When to speak and when to be quiet. Ecclesiastics, there is a time, okay, to speak and a time to be quiet. There's a time to embrace and there's a time to refrain. And so you want to gain the wisdom and say, God, teach me, train me, because I need to leave. I need to be pruned. I need to leave from me just letting people have it. And now I'm letting my husband have it, okay? But you want to leave that and cleave to what's lovable, what's peaceable, okay? What's kind. All right, what's gracious, the fruit of the Spirit, okay, the character of Christ. Number 3, you want to pray for a heart that forgives, because the heart can build up can become hard, can become bitter, can become broken. You know, and you want to leave that space that you allowed your womanhood to go there and dwell there and remain there. You want to come out of neutral, and you want to shift gears and come into forward movement. And the forward movement is able to happen for you when you choose to be a woman who has a heart that forgives. You don't want to hold on to every single thing. You don't want to allow every single thing to make you have an eyebrow up at all times. You don't want everything to always make you become hard-hearted and distant. You want a heart that forgives. You don't want to become so full of pain and bitterness that you are now at your melting point to where you explode, or to where you become so numb that you have no feeling, no care, and now you're nonchalant about everything. No. Shift gears, okay? You want a heart that forgives. I think you need to type that in the comments. I think you need to type, I need a heart that forgives. See, we think, oh, they don't deserve my forgiveness. They don't understand how much they hurt me. That's your human nature. But I want to let you know that the Lord can nurture your human nature. The maturity, the forgiveness nurtures your human nature. Forgiveness is more about you and your position with God than it is about your position with man, and that it is about them. Okay? So pray for a heart that forgives. Because when you allow yourself to be released from the buildup of bitterness, you're leaving that place and you want to cleave to forgiveness. You allow yourself to experience breakthrough, okay? Freedom, shifting, growth, development, all right? Clarity, all right? And now I want you to think about number 4, which is, I've said it in the beginning, you want to consider your upbringing. The upbringing matters into really how you respond to each other, what you say to each other, how you interpret each other, and how you can agree. You want to consider your upbringing. So it can be good for you to have a conversation about how you all were raised. If that didn't come out through premarital counseling, and premarital counseling is so critical. Ongoing counseling, marital counseling is support for your marriage, okay? Especially if you're still struggling with the two becoming one. Especially if you're still struggling in any area of these videos that I have talked about. Okay, the understanding of each other, that's you not understanding they're one, so you can't become two. You're having conflict and becoming two. Remember, this video is all about conflict resolution and strengthening you as a wife for wealth deposits of resolution in the midst of conflict. Okay, and so you want to make sure that you're considering and factoring in the upbringing one to another, and then choosing to come into a common ground for how you both are choosing to leave, or how you both are choosing to grow up, or how you both are choosing to mend and cleave to how you're going to move forward as two becoming one. Okay, so it's no longer the individual upbringing. Now the focus and priority can become, okay, we understand how each other were raised, but now how are we going to cleave to the direction of the marital future and wealth deposits that we want in our union moving forward? Okay, and then 5 is you want to make sure that you're praying for yourself just as well as you're praying for your spouse. So your prayers are not only spouse-centered, your prayers are also you-centered, okay? You want to make sure you're praying over your heart, over your perspective, over your mind, over your insecurities, over your upbringing, over your, things that can cause you to act, respond, and interpret how you are doing. Okay, and you want to cover your spouse in those areas also, but you want to make sure you don't forget to cover and pray for you. Okay, all right. A very good resource that really helped me with this is a book called The Power of a Praying Wife. Now, I also read The Power of a Praying Woman, because who we are as a woman determines how we be as a wife. So I read both of those books, The Power of a Praying Woman and The Power of a Praying Wife, and they are both by Stormy or Martian. I might be saying her last name wrong, but I will make sure I link those books in the description box below, as well as with my book, Wife Strengthening, so that you can have a resource that you can go to. A part of this Woven Woman system is to saturate ourselves in prayer. So if you invest in any of our resources, any of our programs, any of our services, prayer is a thread, a consistent thread that is woven through it all, because prayer changes things. And it changes you, okay, with that belief and stuff. And so 6, you want to establish marital values. You want to make sure that the two becoming one is, you're saying, okay, what are going to be the values for us as husband and wife? We are not going to ever call each other out of each other's names. We're never going to demean or manipulate one another. We're never going to. What are going to be the marital values? You need to establish those. I'm not going to disrespect you by blah, blah, blah. But then you need to ask, what does disrespect look like to you? Because remember, two becoming one, you may have your perspective of what respect and disrespect looks like, but they may have their own perspective. So you want to make sure you are communicating. If you're going to say, I want to make sure I respect your time and respect your presence, you want to identify and define what that respect is on both parties so that you can get on one accord. All right. So as you're establishing the marital values, you are also defining those terms. All right. You want to make sure you're defining those terms and that you are implementing them. So in the implementation, once you establish your marital values for your union, two becoming one, your union, okay, you want to make sure that the marital values align with biblical principles and not worldly philosophies. I'm going to say that again. You want to make sure that your marital values align with biblical principles and not worldly philosophies. Okay? And then in the implementation of those values, you want to make sure that you, one, have defined the terms so that you're on one accord, and that you are holding each other accountable. How do you hold each other accountable when not feeling like you nagging one another? How do you hold each other accountable when not feel like you're getting on one another's nerves? That's when you have to say, okay, what does holding you accountable look like and sound like for you? This is you asking your spouse, and then you allowing your spouse to ask you, what does holding you accountable look like and sound like for you? How often do you want to be held accountable? When I sense that this is being lost, or I'm not seeing that this is being implemented, now I want to be able to hold you accountable in a way that doesn't come across as if I'm nagging you or trying to be your mama or getting on your nerves. So let me know. Let me know how you prefer to be held accountable in a way that works for you, for the wealth deposit for our marriage, because that's the goal. Okay? And then that's a two-way conversation. Okay, so you're going to have to be aware with what works for you being held accountable, and so are they. And then you can't be scared in telling them that, all right? So I want you to truly replay this video and really allow it to be soaked and immersed into your womanhood interior, so much so that you are truly walking it out in a way that gives you womanly wealth, relational wealth, and marital wealth, and wife strengthening, equipping, okay? So play it back as often as you need. This series will be available for you to listen to as often as you need. The resources mentioned, my wife strengthening book, please make that investment in yourself. It's not about me. It's so that you can get the wealth deposit that you need. Okay, so don't look at it as, oh, let me support her. No, look at it as, let me invest in my own development. Let me get the tools. My God is supplying all of my needs according to his glorious riches. And this video series is him supplying your needs. The Wife Strengthening book is him supplying your needs. The other accounts and people and books that I've mentioned is him supplying your needs. But are you going to feast upon it? Okay? That's a question that you're going to have to answer. Life-giving choices or wealth deposits. All right. This has been fun. This has been great. I can't wait to our next series or our next video. I hope that you can either in the meantime turn on your notifications, like and subscribe to the Beautifully Wellens Woman's YouTube channel. You can follow us on our social media platforms. I will link those in the description box below as well. It's been real. Now it's time for you to walk in it.